welcome to the Protagonist seat. Things are a little different this week. There's a bit of a problem. Our good buddy, our co-host, Ian, is not here.
He got polio.
Ian got polio. Vaccinate your kids.
Yeah, his mom didn't vaccinate him, and he ended up in the iron lung. So next week you'll hear a lot of whirring sounds, a lot of weird steam machinery, and it's scary.
Anyway, I'm Alex. This is my temporary co-host this week, James.
What's up? I'm James. I don't know a lot about anime, but I'm here.
He doesn't watch a lot of anime. He doesn't watch any of these shows, so that's going to be fun. So it's like an outsider perspective. He gets to come in and just kind of give his thoughts on what he hears.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm no way associated with the Weeb community.
Yeah, he is not. He's a normie, as some might call him.
But you know what? I got a beard. I do like some anime. I want to say that.
Yeah,
I like some anime. I like
Space
the good
Cowboy.
Ones. Space Cowboy. I like Samurai's Shampoo and definitely Two Brothers Coup.
Two Brothers Coup. Don't forget about Full Metal Clist.
And I kind of like Darker Than Black. That's the only other one.
That's the only one you get right, too.
That's the only other one.
Yeah.
But, and apparently I've also just started watching JoJo, and apparently this week is not JoJo.
So he just started watching JoJo like a couple months ago, and so to start with JoJo, we are actually not going to start with JoJo because there's nothing to talk about. Recap episode. Doesn't get to hear about the boys, but I guess that's good because you don't get spoiled, even though you don't care about spoilers. I think I've told you basically everything that happens at like the end of part 3.
Is this the cowboy one or is that next?
Cowboy one is no, it's not next. The prison one is next.
Oh, okay.
And then the cowboy one's after that, and then we do part 4 again or something. I don't know. That's the current one.
All right.
It's gonna be a bit.
So we're moving on from JoJo.
Yep, to the Rising of the Shield Hero. All right, to give you a basic summary of the show, because that's how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to give him a basic outline of the show just so he has some context. Yep, so the show is about this guy he's a NEET, meaning he has no job, he's not in education, has no career or anything.
Well, I know NEETs all too well.
And he goes to the bookstore, and he opens up the book, and he's like, oh man, what's this? Is this a light novel? And he's reading through it, and he's like, this world seems pretty like a game almost. And then he gets pulled into it, and him and 4 other dudes get pulled into it. And because this whole In Another World thing, Isekai series, they've been around so much that they're at the point where it's just accepted. It's like they move through it quickly, not like, whoa, we're in another world. They're just like, oh yeah, we're in another world. That's cool.
They're like, this shit happens on the daily.
Yeah,
like,
we're in another world and we all have cool powers and we're the 4 chosen heroes. Yep, we can get down with this.
Yeah.
And there's a dude who is the spear hero. He gets a spear. Dude who is the sword hero. He gets a sword. Dude who's the bow hero. He gets a bow. And our main character gets the shield.
All right.
And turns out shield kind of sucks because he's not allowed to hold any other weapon.
Yeah, I was going to say, no one... I mean, this is a reference to something else, but no one likes playing a protection fighter. Like, no one likes being the tank.
Yeah, no one likes being a tank. And he ends up... basically, it turns out everyone's out to get him, because besides the other heroes, everyone in this world's a dick to the shield hero, and you're starting to figure it out. Oh, it must be something to do with the world's culture or religion, but everyone's a dick to the shield hero, and they all get parties and stuff. He's like, wait, we're not going to fight together, and they're like, yeah, no, you're going to fight in like separate groups, and so he has a different group that he's fighting with, because no one wants to join him besides this one girl who volunteers. She's like, I'll go with the shield hero. And he's all like, oh, she likes me.
Okay.
And then he gets accused of rape, and everyone hates him.
Oh, well, that...
Yeah.
Hold on. Hold on.
It escalates quickly. She turns out, like, she's the princess, and her dad's the king, and she's actually... And the king's also an asshole to him. Everyone's an asshole to him. And they're, like, out to screw him over. And the rape thing was a big controversy thing that I'm not going to touch on, because, you know... That's just, it was what it was, and it happened, and now he's, like, all angry and jaded.
So, like, he got falsely accused.
Yeah, he got falsely accused.
Because no one likes him, and he's hanging out with the princess.
Yeah, because the princess actually intended on using him, and she uses the spear guy, because he's, like, white knighting her, where he's like, you're an asshole, I gotta protect her. And she's like, oh, you're so strong and handsome. He's like, I am strong and handsome. And he's just an idiot being used. but it's been good lately because he's been getting his ass whooped, and it's been nice to watch.
So, like, not even the princess actually likes him?
No, she's just using him because he's dumb and easily manipulated.
Wow, all right.
And the two other heroes are kind of irrelevant.
So what happened this week? Or is he cleared of his charges?
Yeah. Basically, they said, well, since you're a hero, we can't do anything about that, so everyone's just going to treat you like an asshole. And he's like, you know what, fuck this. And he leaves, and then some dude who looks like the Penguin from Batman shows up. He's like, you want to buy slaves?
Okay, all right.
And then he buys this little raccoon girl, and he just makes her do the fighting for him. And then as she levels up, she grows, I guess, with beast people, there are things like tied to level. So now she's like a teenage girl, and she's got a crush on him, but he daughter zoned her. Okay,
so let's get this straight. This world has art. This world operates on the level of an RPG game.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No, I mean, I'll accept it.
That's how isekai works. Everything is like a video game because it's the Japanese person's dream that when they don't have to either live their shitty NEET life or their shitty office job, that they die and go to a video game world where they get all the powers and everyone wants their D.
Okay. I mean, I can get on board with that.
It's even getting crazier as a genre. There's like one like story that's gonna get an adaptation probably at some point called like J.K. Haru is a sex worker in another world, where basically this high school girl gets teleported to another world and she can like she becomes a prostitute. I don't know. It's a crazy genre. Anything could happen.
It's a deep look at human trafficking issues in Japan.
Yeah, but she gets all the power because if she has sex with someone, I guess she can like seal their powers. It's weird. But yeah, this isn't what that's about. Anyway, he's got
right.
he's got
his shield guy.
He's got his raccoon slave and his bird slave girl, and they both like he's nice though, so it makes slavery okay.
Slavery's okay if you're nice to him.
Yeah, and
that's a lesson learned from the Rising of the Shield Hero.
And he basically realized that, hey, I'm never going to get money from the kingdom because they give all the other heroes money and they don't give me anything because they don't like me. So then he started doing merchant stuff. So he's become the merchant hero lately, where he's just going around to towns helping people and stuff. And he comes across some girl who's like lost out in a field playing with some birds, and because one of his companions is a bird, she's like, oh man, that's really cool. And the bird is a giant, it looks like a giant chocobo.
Okay.
But she transforms into a little girl.
All right.
Yeah,
and so it makes sense within the realms of anime.
Yeah, and so they end up becoming friends and hanging out and stuff. And she asks him like, "Oh, I heard you're going back to the capital. Can you help me get there?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And so he escorts her back to the capital. And then while he's in town, the Shield hero shows up to like push his shit because he's like, "Hey, that little girl that's going around with her."
You mean the spear hero?
Yeah, the spear hero. Yeah, I keep forgetting. But yeah, he's being an asshole, and they get into a fight, and he's like, dude, just go away. I don't want to do this right now. And then the queen, or the princess girl, shows up, and she's being all a bitch. She's like, no, I have a royal decree that you have to duel him right here. And he's like, But then the little girl that he escorted shows up, and she's like, hey, no, you don't. Because I'm also a princess, and I outrank her. And it's like, oh, shit. Apparently she's the younger sister, but she's first in line over her older sister.
It makes sense. You know, for the plot in the time being, they needed that.
And then she tells him like, "Hey, Shield hero, I need your help. I'm sorry for not telling you that I'm the princess." And the episode pretty much ends with him being like, "No, fuck off. Your sister and dad screwed me over, so I'm done helping your family." And then
rightfully so.
Yeah. And so he doesn't trust her, even though she's clearly on his side because her sister's a bitch. And we'll figure out what's going on with that next week.
All right, I can't wait.
Yeah. It's actually, for what it is, because I'm sick of this genre, it's okay. Me and Ian every week are like, it's fun enough. We like it. And Ian really likes Raftalia, the raccoon girl.
All right, so yeah, you've kept it along. It's past the standards. It's like watching one of those movies that's not really like good, but it's fun.
Yeah. It's clearly not even close to the worst thing on this list. Like, we had another show last season, In Another World, reincarnated as a slime.
Oh, yes, I heard about this.
And that one I got really bored with because it was almost like, I don't know. I just didn't like it. A lot of people liked it. I didn't like it at all.
Well, how much can you do with that if you're literally a slime? Like, just kind of like scooting around.
Everything he absorbs, he gets the powers of.
Oh, okay. So it's not a traditional, like, I'm picturing, like, traditional slime.
He's like slime. You know about Dragon Quest? He's like a Dragon Quest slime where it's like, almost like a little bubble. Like he's like he's a blue bubble and he's got a face, so it's like
That's disturbing in my head, but
because the Dragon Quest slime has a face. You don't see his face. It almost looks like his eyes are always closed, but like, no one else sees the face. It's the faces for the viewer, so you can kind of identify where he's coming from. And he was just a regular dude who was like an office worker, and then he got stabbed, and then he became a slime. But
anyways, we'll move on off of this in another. Wait, is there any other in another worlds on this list here?
No, that's the only one this season besides the slime one. Because you know what, it's actually not that bad this season. It's not as many.
That's good.
Next season we get the Isekai Avengers, though. 4 different shows about someone getting transported to another world are all in one show together. It's a crossover.
I have no comment.
The next show, The Promised Neverland, this is legitimately, like, even if you're not into anime, this is the best show on this list. In terms of, like, just the directing of it is just really good. Like, every episode of this show is just edge of your seat suspense.
All right. So it's would you say this is one of the ones you look forward to most every week?
Yeah, I would say so.
All right.
I look forward to almost all of them besides maybe, I don't know, Domestic Girlfriend and Girly Air Force are okay, but I don't like actively look forward to them.
They don't keep you on the edge of your seat.
And I don't look forward to the quintessential quintuplets because I read some of the manga, so I'm ahead of it. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I know what's going to happen, so I don't care about watching it.
All right, we'll get to that.
So The Promised Neverland is about these kids that live on this live at this orphanage, and they've all lived there their entire lives, and they just, everything's good, and they all like having fun with each other and stuff. But it's kind of weird because they all have like number tattoos on their neck.
Okay.
And then they discover one night that like because after a certain point in time they get adopted, and they all like have to say goodbye to that person. That person goes out with their new family. One of the girls gets adopted, and she's like saying her goodbyes and stuff, and they're all sad to see her go, and they're like, oh, they see her bunny stuffed animal was left out, and they're like, let's go bring her back her bunny. And so they run to the edge of the farm where the gate is, or the edge of the orphanage where the gate is, and because it's got like a huge yard, like outside portion where it's almost like it has its own little woods in it.
All right, yeah.
And they get to the edge where the gate is, and they're looking around for him. There's nothing but like a truck in there, and they open up the back of the truck, and she's in there, and she's dead.
Okay, so are we talking about murder mystery here?
It's not necessarily a mystery, because then they freak out and they hide under the car, and they notice these giant demon-like things are like out there, and they're like, oh, we got another one for the shipment, and they like take it out, and they like put her in like this weird like thing, and they find out the mom, like the caretaker there, who they all call Mama, she's working with the demons, and it's just like, yep, we'll have some new fresh ones ready for you in like a month's time.
Hey, that genuinely sounds kind of interesting. Like this crazy orphanage woman is like secretly a demon worshiper.
Well, it's like, I guess demons run the world in this world, so like humans are almost like cattle, and apparently they find out they're on a high quality farm, like like free range chicken stuff. I guess that meat tastes better.
Oh, that's like a cool like kind of pulling the.
They find out they're all literally there, and and apparently the main 3 characters, this girl Emma, Norman, and Ray. So like Emma's a girl, Norman and Ray are dudes. But they have easy to remember names because none of them have Japanese names.
Yeah, that's very odd.
And they find out that they're the 3 most athletic and smartest kids in the plantation because they're like there to do tests and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you find out they're like special shipments because apparently the smarter you are, the better you your brain tastes and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
So they're high quality meat.
They're delicacy.
And they realize we got to get the fuck out of here because they notice, oh, they're gonna like ship us out and eat us, and the whole show is just this suspenseful like them trying to outwit the caretaker who's like she's aware that like some of them know, and she's like, I gotta like, they're kind of, it's like this game where they're trying to like plan an escape without being caught by her.
Okay.
And just every episode you find out just new shit that's like, damn. Or it's like, oh, and like it's shot very well too, where like every time they're talking or like they're having a conversation, it always like the camera's in a position where it's like someone's watching them, and it's always like real creepy.
That actually sounds like the most interesting so far. I mean, we're only on show 2, but no, that genuinely sounds like something I might watch someday.
I have to spoil it though because I got to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, so they end up. So the last episode, everything fucked up. the caretaker, her real name is Isabella.
Mm-hmm.
She basically revealed herself to them. That she's like, we've lived together for 10 years, and this is the first time we've ever talked to each other without acting. And then she basically says, yeah, it's fine if you guys know. In fact, I think you should just stop worrying about it. It's easier this way. You just, get to live a nice, happy life here and then get shipped out. She's like, it's honestly worse for you if you try to escape. Because there's a big wall at the end that they realize, oh, if we get some rope, we can try to climb it. And they're like, they decide, oh, let's try to just make a break for it. So Emma goes to try to, hug her, hold her, in place while Norman gets the rope. And she basically just pushed Emma to the ground and broke her leg last episode. Just clean broke it right at the knee.
Okay.
And so that completely fucked up their escape because, now she's like...
She can't escape.
Yeah. And they all just kind of stopped last episode where they're like, shit, we lose. And they're all talking. She then ended it with, oh, Norman, by the way, you're next to be scheduled to ship out. Because Norman's kind of been the brains of this whole thing. Norman is he's kind of the one trying to put together the escape. Emma's the girl, and she's like, I want to try to escape with everybody because she wants to take everybody along.
Yeah.
And Ray is kind of their tactical planner, and he's also very smart. But he's a realist though, where he's like, we got people here who are under 6. There's no way we can escape with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna get little babies to escape successfully.
You also found out too, it's a couple episodes ago, Ray was actually a informant for Isabella. He was actually working for her. But you find out he was mostly doing that as a way to gain information. So he's basically a double agent. And after everything failed and Norman realizes he's not only going to be shipped out, he's going to be shipped out the next day, so tomorrow.
So that's where kind of we left off.
Yeah, and he ends up, because he knows he's going to be shipped out, he's basically surrendered to it. There's just a scene where he's just walking to, go get Emma some water, because she's, in bed because her leg's broken. Mm-hmm. And he's just, he just drops down to the floor because he knows there's nothing he can do. But the rest of them are like, Norman, you should escape tonight. And he's like, no, if I leave, it's just going to be one of you two. But then Emma comes up with a plan where she's like, oh, it won't be me because the demons want us in good health. So, Ray, what if you just break a limb? And he's just like, and he actually starts laughing, and he's like, that's actually such a stupid idea, it just might work. And so they plan on having Norman escape, and then Ray will just hurt himself, and then they buy themselves time so they won't get shipped out.
Okay, and then, I assume where they're kind of going with this, I'm going to take an assumption is that, once Norman, they're the main characters, I assume they're not going to just kill him off, unless it is that kind of show.
I don't know.
We don't know yet. But I can see the show kind of going in this direction where, all right, now Norman's on the outside, and they're going to probably reveal more about the outside world and be like, oh,
yeah, the whole show, they believe it's 2015, but a lot of time they're like, it's 2015, but it's demons run the world, so we don't know what it's like out there. And every character that they've met so far who has been, at least kind of knows what's going on, they don't know what's going on outside of the plantations.
All right, is there there's no internet or TV in this world,
it's right? They're in they have books and stuff, but they're in they're in a sort of old-fashioned orphanage house on an area with a bunch of woods around them.
Okay, so it's
but we've seen cars. The demons had a truck that they had the body stored in.
All right, so it's obviously they don't want to give them these technological tools because that wouldn't help, the whole... You wouldn't give a cow, basically, a smartphone.
They do have, apparently they have, chips implanted in their ear because Isabella, the mom of the house, she has what looks like a pocket watch, but it's actually a tracker that she can look at and find where they are.
Oh,
and so when Norman, at that episode, he goes to make his escape, and he finally gets to the rope, and he climbs up on the wall, and you see him, look out, and you can kind of see trees off in the distance, and he sort of just kind of... He has, almost he smiles, but his face kind of looks really worn, and so then it cuts to, later on in the evening, and so Isabella's looking around, she's like, where's Norman? And Emma and Ray kind of smile at each other, all right, he should be gone now. And then he shows back up, and they're both
oh.
And then they're pissed off at him, and Ray grabs him by the shirt, and he's like, why did you come back? And he just has this defeated smile, and he just looks at him, and he goes, it's a cliff. Apparently, and it shows when he got to the top of the wall, there's just this huge cliff on the other side that just no way you could scale it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where it ends.
All right, that's a good cliffhanger.
Shit. Every episode has been a great cliffhanger, where it's just like, it's so good.
I notice a lot of animes don't really do that, especially animes that like to kind of throw filler in. It's just kind of like almost pointless episodes, but like that show sounds pretty dope because it's just constantly like the biggest problem I have with anime is that the plot doesn't necessarily move onward every episode.
Yeah.
And that's why like a show like that sounds good.
No, with this, every episode has had something happen.
All right.
Like, it's crazy.
I might actually check it out. It's on Crunchyroll, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Kaguya-sama, Love is War. So this one, me and Ian were already behind on, so I'm just going to try to breeze through a lot of it, because it's one of those things where I have, like, 6 plots to talk about, because it's one of those shows where it has, like, 3 plots per episode, like, because they're small stories.
So, like, a little Game of Thrones type action.
Yeah, well, the show's about this guy and this girl. He's student council president, and she's like this rich girl who's also very, like, her family's very affluent and politically powerful, and they're both aiming to be the top. They both like each other, though, but they can't say anything, like, because whoever admits that first is basically giving up the power. So they need to get the other to admit it, and so this show is just them basically performing these tactical mind games against each other on how to, like, get the other to say it. But it's done so in such a style where it's like they have, like, everything gets real. I want to say, like, JoJo-esque, where, like, the drama and intensity, it's like even they're playing a simple card game, like, I know she'll draw that card at this exact time, and then she'll have to lose this game, which makes me the winner. And if I'm the winner, that means she has to, like, say this to me.
All right, so it's kind of like they don't want to admit that they have a crush on each other.
They're two people that are, like, both, like, just they have this sociopathic need to be number one, and if they say it, then that means it's like you're basically admitting, like,
you win.
Yeah,
like,
you win.
You give up your position of dominance.
And to breeze through it, the first plot line of the episode we missed last week is his sister shows up. Because she's in middle school, but, like, their middle school is right near the high school, and she's looking for her brother, and the vice president girl, is like, oh, I can use this as a perfect opportunity to get close to him through his sister. But they have a student council, like, they're on the student council. They have a secretary girl who kind of is the wrench in all of everyone's plans, because she shows up, and it turns out her sister is actually in middle school with the other girl's sister, and they're already super close friends. So the vice president girl is like, shit. She's like, I already lost.
Okay. So, yeah, it's sort of like a school drama.
Yeah. It's like that. And then the second plot line of that is there's Ian's favorite character, Ishigami. He is their treasurer, and he is very afraid of the vice president girl because, again, he always messes something up, one of her plans, and she always looks at him like she's going to kill him. So he thinks that she is, but he's in danger of failing because exams are coming up and they're all trying really hard on it. And it's like going on, like, the narrator's one of the best parts where he's very dramatic in how he narrates, where the student council president's like, he's like, I know exams are coming up. I'll probably pass them easily. And then the narrator's like, he's lying. He's working. He's staying up. Like, he's taking a break from his part-time job to stay up 10 hours a night just studying for this. And then the treasurer guy's like, yeah, I'm gonna head home early just because I want to get some studying done. And then he walks out. He's lying. He actually just wants to play the new video game he just bought. He has no intention of studying at all. This man is living fast and loose, right on the edge.
That's cheeky. I like that.
And she basically realizes he's in danger of failing, and she's like, that would look bad on the student council. So she works really hard to, like, she basically kidnaps him and forces him to study. And then while he's forced to study, he actually ends up passing, but she's still pissed off because all the time she wasted to make him pass.
Yeah.
He ends up, like, only getting, like, just barely a passable score. And the student council president passes, and she's like, you must be happy. And he's like, or he gets number 1 because he was aiming to be number 1. Yeah. He's like, all I feel is relief. After this point, I can't even feel happy about it anymore. And then he goes off to the bathroom, and the narrator's like, he's lying. He's so excited he's shadow boxing in the toilet.
Oh, I've been there before, let me tell you.
And that was the one episode we missed, and the current one from today... Fuck. Oh, yeah. So the first one is there's a huge typhoon going on, and the girl realizes it's a perfect opportunity to be like, oh, he's poor, so he rides his bike to school normally. I should offer him a ride. But wait, if I offer him a ride, that's like me saying that I want to like have a car date with him. And she's like, I need him to ask me. And so she goes through all this elaborate stuff to like... Also, because it's Japanese society, he's like, oh man, I have work today. And she's like, that's true. You wouldn't want to miss work. Only a shameful member of society would call out of work because of a typhoon. And I'm like...
Oh, the Japanese.
And so she ends up waiting outside for him. And he ends up just... And she thinks he's going to come out and have to like beg her to like get a ride. And instead, he just guns it on his bike and just blows right past her, and a bunch of water splashes all over her, and he just is completely gone. And in the next episode or the next part that follows into, now she's sick, because, you know, you get wet in Japan, you get sick. That's how anime works.
Yeah, they weren't wearing their masks.
Yeah, she wasn't wearing a raincoat, so she got splashed with water. She has the Japanese cold, and they had...
Keep going.
Yeah, she has the Japanese cold.
We'll breeze past that one.
And she ends up getting sick. So the ones in the student council room, play a memory card game to figure out who's going to go visit her.
Okay.
And the president ends up winning. And he goes, and she's all like, she's all sick. And apparently she's got like a fever high where she doesn't really know what's going on. And so she's all sick, so she basically pulls him into her bed and falls asleep, and he's like, oh man, I can't stay like this, and he immediately falls asleep too because he's overtired. And then she wakes up and freaks out that he's there, and it's just, you know, classic shenanigans where she's like, you're the worst, and kicks him out, and then that's the end of that one.
So that was the episode.
That was the episode. That was the episode, very summarized.
She got sick from some warm rain.
She got sick from, warm rain.
I assume the show isn't set during the wintertime.
No. At least not currently, yeah. The quintessential quintuplets.
Alright, I already commented and said that this sounds like a really weird Hallmark Channel, like, episode or show where it's about some nice family, but... I'll let you take it away, and I want to find out what it's actually about.
So there's this guy, Futaro. He's he's like the smartest kid in his grade, but he's really poor, and he gets paid to tutor these 5 girls who are quintuplets, and they're all really stupid, and they're bad at school, but they're each good at a specific subject.
Are we talking about, like, a tutor harem?
Yes, it is completely a harem. Currently, he's got 2 people in the running, and maybe out of like the rest of the 3, one likes him but doesn't know she likes him because she saw a picture of him when he was a bad boy with blonde hair and an earring, and she's like, oh man, I like this guy, he's totally my type, but he doesn't mention that that's him.
From bad boy to teaching math.
And this episode, it's a school trip. They plan on going on this school trip. But his sister's sick, so he doesn't think he's going to go. But then she gets better miraculously the next day, and the quintuplets, instead of just getting on the bus, they go and pick him up. So he drives there with them. But then a winter storm happens, a blizzard, so they have to stay at some nearby inn. And then they stay at the inn, and it's a very basic episode of, like, what you'd expect the shenanigans to be. It's like, oh man, we all have to sleep in the same room.
Whoa, yeah, what's like, gonna happen?
Who's gonna sleep next to him? But yeah, and they end up, nothing really happens this episode besides they mostly screw around and just tease him, but he's got his traveler's high, so he's all excited about it.
So yeah, obviously nothing happens. They just all sleep in the same room.
Yeah, well, and specifically too, they're like, oh, I know he won't do anything if we all, because they have distinctive features that make them all look different. I
hope so.
In world, they all look the same, but their hair color varies slightly, and they all have different accessories and stuff. But they decide, all right, let's make ourselves look the same so he won't know who he's next to.
All right.
And it doesn't really matter or do anything.
We already look the same, but we're gonna look the same.
Yeah, it's weird because sometimes they look the same, sometimes in universe, sometimes they look the same to people, sometimes they don't, where it's like inconsistent. Or sometimes it's like, you look exactly like this person, or other times it's like, because in the first episode he didn't know they were all quintuplets until they told him, but then people always confuse them with each other, and now he confuses them with each other sometimes.
All right, very inconsistent.
Yeah,
forgivable.
It's fine. It's a wholesome harem. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Sounds better than rape accusations and getting sold to demons.
Yeah.
So.
Domestic girlfriend.
Or sociopathic tendencies.
Yeah. Domestic girlfriend. This is a Korean soap opera. So the plot of this one, this dude ends up having sex with this girl he meets at a mixer because she's like, he has a crush on his teacher, but he's all like, because it's the teacher, that's never gonna happen. And he goes to a mixer, and this girl's like, hey, you want to just like get out of here? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then they go back to her place, and she's like, what, you want to just do it? And he's like, okay.
Yeah, sure.
And then he does. And then he goes back home, and his dad's like, hey, I'm getting remarried. And he's like, oh? He's like, yeah, I want you to meet my new wife and her daughters. It's the teacher and the girl he had sex with.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
I mean, okay, can I just be honest? Is it meant for, like, a weird fetish thing?
Ironically enough, it's not as raunchy as you think. I found out the author of it's a woman.
Okay.
Hold on. It's about drama.
50 Shades of Grey. But
it's drama. The show's all about drama.
Yeah, drama about dating your stepsister.
No, it's not even like it's not like
bang your stepmom.
No, it's not a stepmom. The teacher is one of the woman's daughters.
Oh, okay.
So it's two sisters.
I thought the stepmom was the teacher and then her daughter.
Yeah. No, the teacher and the girl he has sex with are the woman's daughters.
Okay, all right.
And it's a lot of whining and crying in the show because it's a drama.
Yeah.
But it's got some cool side characters like bro dude and stuff. It got some really creepy teachers. Every teacher in this show is creepy. In fact, two creepy teachers were hanging out together in this one that I didn't know they were associated with each other. Like, just because names will make it easier. The younger sister, the one he actually had sex with, Rui, is all... Because the older sister, the teacher, is moving out, and she's kind of all sad about that because she thinks it's her fault. And then she sees the guy that her sister was previously, like, seeing, which is apparently her old teacher. So we got, like, teacherception. And then the literature teacher, who is just a creepy guy, who's like he's the manager of their club, but the first time you meet him, he's just real weird because he's a free spirit art teacher, like he's wearing sandals all the time.
Yeah.
And he's just creepy. There's a scene where he convinced the main character to join the literature club because he kind of strong-armed him into it, and he was just like sitting there with this girl, that new character that you meet, and he's like, you're both writing romance stories, right? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, kiss. Do it. And it's just like, oh.
That's ascended to creepiness.
And then after he was about to, and then he just doesn't because he noticed the girl's kind of shaking. He's like, all right, I learned about your character through this one. This is pretty good. This was a pretty good learning experience.
Good curve, teach.
Yeah. Good job being like, fuck, I couldn't get the high schoolers to kiss each other.
Oh, all right. Domestic girlfriend.
But yeah, so in this episode, he helps the teacher move out, and then after she gives him a key to her apartment, and then he goes there and makes out with the teacher.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, can I just be honest? I'm already picturing the teachers way better than the other chick.
I personally am a fan of the teacher. Ian would probably be a fan of the other one, though. So,
dude, teacher's always best. Just look at P5.
Yeah, dude, teachers are always the best option. So basically, this episode was just setting up that he and the teacher are now trying to get together. But again, because this is probably gonna go on a lot longer. This is gonna be back and forth drama between the sisters. Because again, it's a soap opera.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's fine. That's what happened this week. Magic Girl Spec Ops. Here we go. We got the good shit this week. We got so to give this show a rundown. There was this.
You did already tell me what it's basically.
There was this war in the past where, like, 8 years ago, or not even 8 years, like 3 years ago, where a bunch of monsters from another world invaded, like, Earth.
Okay.
And they're like giant teddy bears and stuff. But like they're ripping people apart, and there's like blood everywhere, and they're like chewing people like to pieces.
Right. Invasion of the teddies.
Yeah, and so the only way they can fight back, since normal human weapons don't have a great effect on them, is magical girls. And they got this group called like a bunch of magical girls that a bunch of them died, but like 5 of them survived, and they're known as the Magical Five, and they helped end the war. And the main character, Asuka, was one of them. And she's got all PTSD, and she just wanted to live a regular life. But apparently there's this terrorist organization trying to use, like, old magic technology from, like, the war and stuff, or, like, old magical weapons, and try to, like, you know, create a new war with it. And she's like, I want out of this life. And her Nick Fury dad guy with the robot arm, who was also in the war, keeps showing up. He's like, I need you to join the Magic Girl Force. And she's like, I'm not joining the Magic Girl Avengers. And he's like, fine, but... you know, you're eventually going to join the Magic Girl Avengers. Just wait. And then one of her friends ends up in this incident where this guy's a terrorist, and he's like, just start shooting people in the crowd to, like, you know, create panic so we can escape. And she almost gets killed, but then she shows up and she cuts off the guy's legs, and he gets tortured by the government for multiple episodes. It's great.
All right.
It's edgy as shit. And basically you meet a bunch of... in this episode, they're kind of building to, like, a big attack on the base, which actually happened here. They're at the Japanese Air Force base in Okinawa, because that's where one of the bridges is, which is a gate to the other world. And they're
Teddy World, yeah. Teddy.
And they're meeting with one of the leaders of the other world, where they can basically it's to exchange weapons and information, because they're fighting, you know, on the same side against the terrorist group. Yeah. And while they're there, these villains that were introduced in the previous episode, which are part of the Babel Brigade, which are the terrorist organization. One of them's this dude who me and Ian have been calling him Alphonse.
Okay, like D&D character?
No, Alphonse, like Edward Elric's brother.
Okay,
Alphonse Elric.
So big armor, suit of armor.
He was this African child soldier who was basically left for dead by the guys he was with, but then the Babel Brigade picked him up and gave him a new body, so he's got basically... this body that's with just a bunch of parts and stuff.
Yeah, but he's still a child, so...
Yeah, well, he's probably old, and he's got a child voice, though. And so it's like this big suit of, like, weird armor and his child voice coming out of it, so he's Alphonse.
Evil Alphonse.
And he basically recruited this girl whose dad abused her, like, and would hit her and stuff, who, like, was in a wheelchair, and he made her a magic girl. So she's an evil magic girl, and they're gonna attack the base. Yeah, we got for the Magic Girls, the American one, Just Cause Mia, who's got a gun that basically when she shoots people, because they're special magic bullets, there's a part where she's, like, doing wet work in, like, South America, because, again, they're, like, all retired war vets doing different stuff, so she's going around killing cartel members, and when she shoots people, it, like, creates, like, a giant, like, basketball-sized hole in them, even though the bullets are regular-sized.
Okay.
And then Flamethrower Russian Spetsnaz girl, because the Soviet Union's still around, I guess.
Yeah, good summary.
And then the main character who's got a knife, and then the other Japanese girl who has a syringe because she's their healer.
How big is the syringe? Comically huge?
It's comically huge. Okay. But she can shoot the tip of it off, which actually in one fight just, like, you know, surprised somebody and just, like, impaled her into the wall.
All right.
Also, she's their torturer.
She
turns out
medical shit.
She's really effective at it, because she's got, like, because they're torturing this one girl they picked up, and she's like, she, like, injects something into her, and she's like, what's that? And she's like, it increases your senses, like, times, like, 10 or whatever. And then she starts torturing her, and also she can reattach limbs. She's like, she walks in with, like, the girl's limb on, like, ice, and she's like, now, I can maybe put this back on after.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So it is a little edgy, like you said.
Yeah, a little edgy.
Got some edge to it. So what happened this week?
So then they're all at the base, and they meet the general lady from the magic world, and then the base gets attacked, and they realize, oh, they're not here to destroy the gate. They're here to capture the leader of the other side. So they realize they got to form like a protective thing because the town's getting attacked, and they have to divvy up their forces because if they all go to the town, then the base is going to be attacked. So they know it's a diversion, so the American girl volunteers to go because she can basically destroy all the Halloween-class enemies and the Voorhees-class enemies, which are the giant teddy bears ripping people apart.
Yeah.
And then the Spetsnaz girl holds the front line while she's going to be outside just burning everything. And then the 2 Japanese girls are going to be inside if the enemies get past there.
So it's kind of, this episode was like,
it was setting up the fight, yeah.
Yeah, get ready, you're going to be fighting.
But yeah, it was good.
It was good.
Gali Air Force. So this show is about a Chinese guy who ends up in Japan because China's getting destroyed by these things called the Zai, which are like alien spacecraft things. I don't know. They're like alien planes that are like super maneuverable that regular pilots can't get them because jets can't just maneuver the same way these planes can.
Yeah, and they're aliens.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're aliens because you never see an actual pilot inside of them, and they all seem like they're just remote, like...
Or they're like weird alien drones, or who knows.
Yeah, but anyway, you discover that the way to fight them is that they took alien parts and they made girls who are pilots, or girls who are planes. Like, they're the interface of the plane.
wait, hold on, back up. There's girls, they are the plane.
Like, well, there's the planes and they sit in the planes, but they technically are the interface of the plane. They're just a physical person.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about some, like, Cars 2, but we're planes.
They are the plane's AI.
Okay.
And he basically meets this one plane, Grippin, who's like she's just shitty unless she's with him. And he is in the plane, and they basically they've ever since like 2 episodes ago have realized, hey, you should just have her be the navigator and you do the fighting because you're better at it.
Okay.
And because they're already gimped anyway by having him in the plane because the planes can go past like 10 Gs or whatever, which the human body at that point can't handle.
Yeah, you'll pass the fuck out.
Yeah. Which he didn't like the first time they did it, but they just don't now. Anyway,
he got used to it. We'll brush past.
They haven't gone that hard since then, but
if we're going to accept that girls are planes, then
girls
we gotta
are
accept
planes.
That.
And in this episode, the Japanese because they're led by this scientist dude who's like this fat Japanese guy who's always smoking cigarettes, and he's like these planes are people. I made these planes. You got to think of them as people. You can't think of them as machines. And then you meet
a nice guy.
You meet the American guy who thinks about everything as AI because they only have one plane, and he's all worried because or the Americans are all worried because Japan has 3 planes and America only has 1 plane.
It's goddamn Americans.
And I guess the Soviet Union has a bunch of planes. For some reason, the Soviet Union just exists now and everything.
Yeah, just bring them back.
Yeah, bring back the Soviets.
Says, bring them back.
Japan says bring back the Soviets.
They want to fight them again.
No, because they're always working together. I guess they just want to bring the Cold War back, and they want to have it instead. They want to be the media. Like, guys, come together. America and the Soviet Union be like, what were we fighting about all this time?
Japan helped us realize that the true heart is within the soul.
But yeah, so they meet the American scientist who's like the parallel to the Japanese scientist. I think his name's Willie. And he's just like... And you meet Rhino, who is the American's plane girl, who... and you find out that his plan is to send up a bunch of unmanned drones to get destroyed, and the Japanese guy doesn't like that plan. And then he asks his plane, the main character, asks his plane Grippin. He's like, why doesn't he like that idea? And she's like, because he doesn't think of machines as machines. He thinks of machines as people. So when you start thinking of machines as just machines, then, you start losing touch. And the American guy apparently has a simulation he set up on, like, a game where it's like, hey, see if you can try to make humanity survive for at least 10 years. And the main character keeps losing. And he's just like, can I do it again? The guy's like, as many times as you want. And he keeps losing. And then he has the plane girl try Grippin. And then she completes it in one go. And he's just like freaking out. He's like, how? And he's like, please, let me take you apart. Let me look inside of you. Or he's like, let me figure out how you tick. And then the Japanese guy's like, we're leaving.
Of course.
And he's like, you don't get how plane girls work. And then he leaves.
What are you, an idiot? You don't know how girl planes work.
And then the American guy's just like, it's information we need. You're not sharing information. And yeah, so I hope we see Blue Plane Girl next week get to do actual flying and stuff, because you didn't get to see her. Because we saw other plane girls do flying stuff, but we need more plane flying. I call her blue because that's her hair color.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah, they all have a distinct hair color. Main character's girl is pink, then there's blonde, then there's green, and now there's blue.
Okay.
Oh, and then there was
Colors.
purple.
Yeah.
Because purple didn't do any. Purple was last week. Yeah.
All right, that's Girly Air Force.
The Price of Smiles. So this is a show about two countries fighting each other on like another planet for some MacGuffin. Like the MacGuffin makes everything work, but you found out the MacGuffin is bad, and the MacGuffin is actually what's killing the planet. It's like some energy source. They're like, it has the worst name. It's CHRARS. Pronounce that in a way that's comfortable. CHRARS. Yeah.
Kraus.
Yeah.
Kraus.
Yeah.
Traus.
Trash.
Traus.
Yeah, it's awful.
Alien MacGuffin. Planet MacGuffin.
Anyway, one side is the Kingdom, the other side is the Empire. Red team, blue teams, respectively, because that's their color scheme. Red team has been losing this war the whole time, and they're led by a princess who is like. Which the one thing I like about this show, normally when a princess has to lead a country, she like somehow becomes good at it. They have lost consistently. Like they are constantly on the back foot, losing ground, land. They've already lost their capital city. So it's not like she all of a sudden figured out like, I'm going to lead my country and they start winning. No, they have lost harder.
Okay.
And the one thing I did like about this show is the theme song is like where it just looks really generic, and it's just the main two girls on both factions running together through a field of sunflowers and everyone's smiling and happy. First episode, the guy that they set up to make it look like he's the main character or the main love interest of the princess, like her best friend, he goes off to war and dies in episode 2. And I'm like, damn. And then last episode, her main military commander died because he basically did a sacrifice charge where he held the line. And he died. And then this week, Blue Team's main commander dude died. So everyone dies in this show.
It's the price of smiles.
That's the price of smiles. Because every time like someone has an episode where it's like, hey, because the main commander dude of Blue Team that died this week, he was this guy. He looks really like he's a rough and tough guy. Like he's no nonsense. Turns out he runs an orphanage back home, and he's like, he's an okay guy, and he cares about his squad and wants them to be decent people. And the main girl, Stella, on that squad ends up finally taking a liking to him this episode. And then as she's about to get gunned down by the red team guy, he gets in the way, and they both just shoot at each other in each other's cockpit and kill each other. And yeah, both teams' commanders take each other out in that episode. And yeah, so everyone's dead.
The price of smiles.
And everybody. Guy was fucking useless. It's a character they added in where he's like just fucking useless. Immediately, he's the first one out in combat. He's like, oh man, my thing's not working. Go on without me, guys.
He's basically like the equivalent of a red shirt.
Yeah, he's a red shirt, but he doesn't die. That's the problem.
Oh, it's he's just useless and he won't go away.
Yeah, he's useless and won't die because he's had a previous battle that he was in that he also went down but didn't die.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah. All the important people die. Although this is the first important person on Blue Team that died, because the only other person that died before is Farm Boy you didn't care about. And his was kind of shitty because he didn't have a chance. He was on like a med transport back, and they just blew up the med transport.
Wow.
And I'm like, hey, the kingdom finally killed somebody, and it was like an injured person. Let's watch the
medical transport.
Let's watch the Empire next week completely fuck over everybody in the kingdom. Just that's how it works. Yeah.
All right.
And we're coming to the end of that. And speaking of coming to the end, this is the end of all the shows that we watch, and we finished up in record time, probably because no JoJo to talk about.
Yeah, JoJo's. You can go on forever about JoJo.
I can. We got some good shit coming for JoJo. We're nearing the end of part 5, and then we get to wait like 2.5 years for part 6.
Oh boy, can't wait to catch up and then wait.
Yeah. Well, you're at the best time because by the time you catch up, part 5 will be done, so you can just binge the whole thing.
Hell yeah.
I feel like JoJo's better to binge than watch weekly.
Well, they what happened was I guess recently it was added to Netflix as well, so I think it's gonna resurge and not resurge because a lot of people already love it.
Yeah, it's already popular.
Like Netflix, there's like no reason someone like can't watch it. Like it's easy to access now.
Yeah. Although I don't watch anime on Netflix just because it's usually on Netflix after. Unless it's like a Netflix original or Netflix exclusive. Actually, not even a Netflix exclusive. If it's a Netflix original, I'll watch it on Netflix. But if it's a Netflix license, like, exclusive, I usually just will, like, watch it somewhere else, air quotes, totally legally.
Okay, yeah.
Because, for example, when, like, Fate Apocrypha was airing, even though it wasn't that good, I still wanted to see it, but Netflix licensed it, meaning they weren't going to stream it anywhere, but it was still airing on TV in Japan, and I was like,
yeah,
I'm not going to wait until Netflix comes out with that shit.
Yeah, so you're going to watch it.
Yeah, so I'm going to legally watch it.
Yeah.
Air quotes.
In Japan.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it on Japanese television.
That's what he did.
That's what I did. That's completely what I did. I did not download it somewhere else.
But yeah, no.
It turns out maybe I would have watched it on Netflix if you learned how to simulcast, guys.
Yeah. I mean, even like if Funimation can do like the simul dub,
yeah,
then they can do the
They have to dub a
simulcast.
whole episode the same day. Guys, just put on subtitles and just put it on.
Yeah, it's not that hard. But
you make so much money, you can pay someone to subtitle your episodes.
Well, I can't say I know how hard it is because I don't speak Japanese. But like, if I was fluent in the language, then maybe yeah, it's probably easy.
People do it for free online.
Exactly.
But yeah. So, thank you, James, for filling in for Ian this week.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks
I filled in some big shoes, I tried to live up to the legend himself.
Yeah, this was a great episode because James James normally, will try to do everything he can to avoid listening to me talk about anime. And this week he had to sit for like 50 minutes and just listen.
Well, hey, some of them sounded okay.
Yeah. Again, I would definitely recommend watching The Promised Neverland. It's a legitimately good show. Ian will tell you to watch all the wrong stuff just because he likes it too. He'll be like, hey, check out Domestic Girlfriend. And then you're going to watch it and be like, I literally want to shoot myself.
Dude, like, oh no, that's a little inappropriate, but I was like, dude, if I can't, like, if it's not borderline hentai, then it's not worth watching. Come on.
I mean, in Magic Girl Spec Ops, that torture scene had opened with magical spanking.
Oh. And maybe I'm interested in these shows now.
And that show is also very gay baiting.
Okay, wait. Can I talk? I want to bring up a funny topic.
Go ahead.
And this is perfect for your show.
We can run as long as we want because there are no rules here, nor is there consistency.
All right, so it is on the topic of anime. But recently in school, I was having class presentations. We were supposed to report on subcultures. Guess what one report was?
Otaku culture.
Otaku culture. And like the first slide, and I give him credit. This kid, he's a bit of a goofball. He's a big dude. You can tell he's an otaku. But the first
the obvious
slide,
ones are the worst kind.
No, he is obvious, and it's like. The first slide, he goes, all right, everybody, and he talks like this. And I don't mean to make fun of him.
Of course.
He's actually a pretty nice guy, so I don't really want to make fun of him. But, like, hello, everybody. And he goes, first things first, let's separate one thing. And he flips this slide, and he's got a nice little picture of anime, and then he just has one that just says censored. And he goes, hentai and anime are not the same thing. So stop fucking saying it's the same thing.
I'm glad he brought that up in front of a group of people. So, because I know that was probably on everyone's mind in the room. I'm glad he really, like, made himself stand out as the fucking, like, I am that guy. I am the stereotype.
Oh, no. And he, like... I mean, the rest of his presentation wasn't that cringy. He just explained what manga was. He explained the differences between anime and manga. He didn't really explain the culture much, which was kind of weird, but...
I was about to say, how long did he need to take? It's one you read, the other you watch.
It was about a 10-minute presentation.
Yeah, you're like comics, cartoons. Explain the difference. One you read, one you watch.
Well, he spent like forever. He's just like, so I want to make something else clear.
He spent the whole time on the hentai anime thing. It's just like, I'm going to show you specific examples of hentai just so you know that they are different.
You're not far off, but he kind of went on about that for a while. He talked about, hey, hentai is not anime. I mean, that's kind of obvious. Like, I think that
I actually feel like that's the cringiest thing to bring up. You should go in expecting people to not ask about that or to just know that instinctively. Also, I feel like anime is a lot more popular than it was like fucking 10, 20 years ago, that you don't need to really worry about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same school I go to, I think, has like an anime club, and it's like more. Well,
they've always had those clubs.
But it's like more normalized. Like it's not like the three weird kids in there.
Yeah, it's not the cringe fest that it used to be like 10 years ago.
Yeah. So spent 5 minutes talking about the difference.
I'm gonna be honest though, even like I have a podcast where I like talk about anime. I would not, for the life of me, join an anime club. Why the fuck would I do that?
What's the point? Because I'm gonna assume most people in the anime club like existing anime and they don't watch like new releases. That's what I'm gonna assume.
I feel like to be part of the community now, you kind of have to watch new releases. Everything moves so quick. Like, we're watching 9 shows right now on this podcast. It started out being 10.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like such a small number. Like, we had to really like thin it down. There's some stuff we passed on that we're like, we might like that, but that would just be so much. Every season is like 40 shows. Yeah, there's 40 shows airing this season that we had to pick 10 from. There's 40 airing in April, and then there'll be like 40 airing in June or July. Probably July, yeah, summer season. And then there'll be 40 airing in September.
That's too much, man. I can barely keep up with like one show in America, let alone in anime.
That's why I feel like it's still at the very, like, I know it's becoming more open and like normalized, but to be really part of it, you gotta still like, I feel like if you're still like, an anime fan, you keep up with a lot of shit that most normal people just wouldn't, because it's like just too, like you said, it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're dedicated, you just do, because that's what you do. You watch a bunch of shows about magical girls who are edgy and spank each other, and you go and post about it online.
Hey, I mean, you're free to like what you like.
Yeah, free to like what you like.
Now, granted, I also want to follow up that story about this guy presenting anime as like a subject of subculture. Didn't actually touch on the subculture itself.
Yeah, when that's probably the part you could have the strongest thing for, because you could easily bring up places like, Akihabara, where it's like an actual place dedicated to the culture of it, where it's like things that just only exist in like that sort of culture, like cosplay, maid cafes.
Yeah, I was gonna say he didn't like even. Well, I guess cosplay kind of extends beyond anime because of like comic books.
Yeah, video games and
video games, but like he didn't even touch upon like the Japanese culture, which is what I'm in a world cultures class, mind you.
Oh, okay. So
he should have been talking about Japan, not American version of like our perception of anime.
You could talk about how there's fucking like just. Also, if you wanted to bring up the fucking hentai thing, you could bring up how doujinshi, like, or things like that, where how copyright there works different, where you can make fan-made, like, almost manga, and sell it and make a profit off of it, and that you don't get hit with, like, a copyright strike. Like, if I wanted to, like, make a JoJo fan-made, like, work, either an art book, a story, I could make JoJo porn if I wanted to, and I could sell it and make money off of it, and I wouldn't be like, hit with like a copyright claim. That's an interesting thing about the culture over there. And they have conventions about it. Like, they have conventions of just fan-made stuff where they just sell it.
Sounds kind of cool. Yeah. Sounds fun.
They have like a lot of it's porn, and people like bring like, go in droves and like the masses to like these conventions where it's like I think it's called like Comiket, where it's like this huge convention in Tokyo for like doujinshi and fan-made works that people just go there and they just, all right, I'm just gonna buy a shit ton of porn. You have like the artist sitting right in front of you, like, hey, thanks. I drew this weird BDSM thing based around like, I don't know, fucking Madoka Magica. Maybe you like it.
Sweet, I'm gonna spank off to it tonight.
Thanks, man.
Like, then what do you say to a guy like that?
Yeah. And everyone's like, you're dressed all professional. It's like you're wearing a suit to promote your porn.
It's like going to a career fair, but it's all porn.
Yeah.
I think if you really want to get into stuff like the history of hentai is actually kind of cool. Because, like, I guess the whole point of it is, like, those laws where you couldn't really show sexual acts, but you could show it if there's, like, hence tentacles, for example.
Yeah, so like, they get around it. You know, there's always workarounds.
Yeah, like, it's fun stuff. I mean, like, it's fun stuff to an extent, but like the history of it is interesting. Where this crazy shit that they come out with came from, basically. Yeah,
this dude's a shitty weeb. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not good at being a weeb. He's bad at it.
So if he was even gonna bring up hentai, he should have just brought up why it exists, or like what the point of it is. I mean, other than, you know.
Mm-hmm. Also, he should have dressed like he was going for a job interview too.
Oh, he dressed like exactly how you'd think. He just had a very baggy.
I'm picturing like he's got a shirt that doesn't quite fit over his stomach, with like, you know, like, you know, a girl making, like, you know, one of those faces, and he's got like the Naruto headband on.
A little too extreme, but the shirt is dead accurate. Like, barely fit over his big belly. I don't even have a big belly like that, and I drink beer, so it's just, it cracks me up. Like, I like anime, and I think otaku culture is cool, but it's like, you can't, just, what are you doing? You don't present that to a world cultures class.
Yeah, and not in that way.
I mean, my subject was just so jarring compared to that. I did, like, Rastafarian culture. I had to talk about, like, the history of slavery, why Rasta people hated white people so much. And then he goes up afterwards. He's just like, anime is not hentai. So sorry that your fan, like weebs in general, have to be like that. Like, come on.
Yeah. No, it's always been a problem.
It needs to be eradicated.
Yeah, we need to eradicate this problem. You need weebs to hit a certain standard.
Well, they have no standards. That's
exactly,
the point.
That's the problem. But degeneracy is also the greatest strength.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a double-edged sword. Yeah. It's a double-edged katana.
Oh yeah. So I just wanted to bring that story up. I thought it was funny. He's a good guy. I want to say that he's a good guy. He is not actually a bad guy. He's just kind of cringy.
Just a little cringy. And you know what? Sometimes that's worse than anything else.
Yeah.
Just be a bad guy. Just don't be cringy. Be an asshole. Be like, you know, just a piece of shit, but just don't be cringy.
People will cringe in a different way, at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, some good recaps here. Good shows.
Fun
I genuinely want to investigate this Promised Neverland.
You should. It's very good. And yeah, so thank you for being here, James. Thank you for filling in for Ian while he's a little bitch, being like, "Oh, my throat! I got strep."
No, I thought it was polio.
Oh, it was polio, but it's actually strep.
It's actually strep. He was lying to.
Yeah, he was lying about polio.
He's not coming to D&D either, so.
Fuck him.
Strep throat.
Now, get better, Ian, even though you don't watch our own podcast, but maybe you'll watch it this week.
Oh, I hope he does. Well, actually, he might, because he's not here.
Yeah, he's not here.
This is a special message to Ian. I hope you get better, bud.
Yeah, come on, man. I need you back, so you know, I'm not the only one who knows what's going on with the show.
I tried my best.
Yeah, he did good. He did good. All right, see you next time.